In case you missed it, here's Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.
Yum. Science. It's not rocket science.
Check it out. I blinded us with science.
Ever been at the beach and have a seagull jump into your food, or many of them? Mine. Well, a study found they might be imitating our behavior. 48% of seagulls approached bags of chips if they saw a person eating them, compared with only 19% that approached a bag when there wasn't someone eating out of it.
Oh, so they're just like, I'm going, like,
You're eating
because
it,
you're
so I'm eating
interested
it
in it, so I want it too.
They say gulls seem to have realized that we're a great information source when it comes to finding food. Now, a different study a couple of years ago found seagulls are less likely to steal food if they know they're being watched. They don't want to get caught.
They don't want to get caught. They have a guilty conscience still.
Right.
Hey, apparently, if you want to tolerate pain better, you need to start working out more. That's at least according to an analysis of 10,000 adults in Norway. Apparently, those who exercise more have a higher tolerance for physical pain. So they had participants self-report their levels of physical activity and their pain tolerance. And then they would also submerge some of the participants' hands in cold water so they could assess their pain threshold. And they found that those that showed a higher pain tolerance than those who self-reported it with an inactive lifestyle. So the more active you were, the more likely you were to be able to tolerate higher levels of pain.
So the key takeaway is be active as much as you can. Another study found that students who enrolled in college in fall of 2020 have more trouble making decisions compared to students who enrolled in years prior. Now, the research team gave students hypothetical situations and compared their answers to those of pre-pandemic students. They said, our theory is that feeling stressed by everything going on was limiting students' resources to really evaluate the information that was presented to them. The impact was even seen in students during the spring of 2022.
Having like pandemic brain, I guess you could call it.
Because the information was changing all the time. Mask, don't mask, virtual classes, no, they're in person, no, we've canceled. So there was so much going on that even simple tasks are difficult.
When you're getting that much information thrown at you at all times, it's overwhelming, and they're still recovering from it. I think that same could be found for adults, too.
I agree.
And finally, a 40-year-old from Holland who was paralyzed from the waist down in 2011 is walking again thanks to a new brain implant.
We do two different surgeries. There is one surgery at the level of the brain and another surgery at the level of the spinal cord, where we put electrodes on the top of the spinal cord at the place that is responsible for leg movement. So between these two, there is communication, an electrical communication, a digital bridge. In a few sessions, everything is linked and the patient starts training.
So as you heard her say, it just sort of bypasses the spine that was damaged and sends signals to another implant that tells the muscles to move. Now, he still has to use a walker, but they say this could be a huge development for people with spinal cord injuries.
And hopefully just the start of more research into where a walker won't even be needed. Amazing. We're getting into graduation time, obviously a lot of proms, all that kind of stuff. And in some places, the seniors will pull pranks on their schools. Now, a lot of times when you hear about this, they've either hacked into a computer system and changed a bunch of things. Sometimes it's even destructive stuff, like getting into the schools and painting and doing stuff like that.
Wasn't there one school I remember they set pigs loose and they ended up destroying and causing like tons of damage? Had to bring in a professional crew to clean it all up. Well, this high school in Maryland recently found a pretty cool way to sort of prank their school, and, no one got hurt or damaged in the process. They listed the school for sale on Zillow for, just over $42,000.
The listing, which briefly appeared there before being taken down, described the 12,000 square foot high school as, quote, half-working jail. All 15 bathrooms come with sewage issues, the listing stated. There's a nice spacious kitchen and dining room with a private basketball court.
Now that is a nice little plus.
The listing said the property comes with, quote, complimentary trash-scented air freshener and water issues.
Oh.
I love this.
A spokesperson for the school called the listing incredibly creative advertising, but
"We're frankly stunned the listing so vastly underestimated the value of such a prime piece of real estate like this, especially one with such amazing amenities."
I love, too, they went on to say, "I can't imagine there isn't going to be a rush of bidders to snap this one up." Said school officials think the listing was a prank by seniors. He said administrators are all taking it in stride.
Yeah, because they say, no one was hurt, no property was damaged, and they said it was just very creative. So
having some fun. So there you go. You want to pull a senior prank? Think about something like that.
Fingers crossed, though, that maybe they fix those sewage issues in the bathroom.
They could probably get a bit more than $42,000. Seems like every day there's another scam. If it isn't someone scamming you on the phone, they're coming to your door, as in the case of a Halifax couple. They were recently the victims of a home repair scam involving a group of men posing as workers from a local company.
And it's not just in Halifax. The scam apparently has also been done in some other cities, including Kingston. Police in both communities have issued press releases describing these similar incidents and warning residents to be on guard. So in the one case, a woman by the name of Linda said 3 men arrived on her doorstep, said they were working in the area that day, and that they had extra mortar and that it was just going to go to waste if it wasn't used. So she said, the one guy said, "Well, we noticed that there's mortar missing from the bricks on your house. I think maybe on the chimney." And they asked, "Can we go up on the roof to check on it?" And she's in her 70s. Her husband, Bill's in his 80s. And they said, "Well, if it's dangerous, then yeah, we should have them go and check on it." So they gave her a quote for repairs, said it was going to be $1,700. And, they're an older couple on a fixed income. So they said they couldn't afford it. "We could do $600. And he countered with $800. And she thought, "Well, you know what? That's a great deal. It's less than half the price." And she said that should have been a red flag.
Now, the crew, which left her house, took a $500 deposit, said they would be back, on Monday to complete the work. They never returned.
So it sounds like they started the work and then said, "Well, it's a bigger job than we realized, so it's going to cost more, and we'll come back and finish it another day."
Yeah, so they went to great lengths to really make this scheme and scam sound legit. They created fake business cards and letterhead with the company name and logo on it. In another case, an elderly man in Kingston, he lost over $8,000. In that case, they told him his foundation was in bad disrepair and that the entire job would cost about $200,000. Wow.
Now, luckily, in the third case, the victim didn't lose any money because they got a business card from them and then called the actual company's real phone number. And they're like, "We don't have anyone working in your area who would be soliciting for business. Like, we're busy enough. We don't need to be soliciting for business." And so then she never hired them.
So Halifax police say they're investigating whether the two incidents are connected. They think they may be. Police in both cities warning residents always obtain reference checks when hiring a contractor, especially if they're going around and showing up in your neighborhood.
Yeah, what a scary thing. And we've talked about this, right? They're targeting seniors. And I think in this case, because if someone came to my house and they're like, "Oh, we need a $500 deposit," I don't have $500 in cash hanging around the house.
Mm-hmm. And you know what they do? They do high-pressure sales tactics and techniques. Years ago, when I lived in Northern Ontario, I had somebody come around. It was like a windows and doors place, right? Not local to that area. Again, look local, call local. But they came around and they were, trying to pressure us into, buying these windows. And we sat at the table for a while because it was an older house that we were in. And
it was probably something you'd been thinking about doing.
Right. Got into the point of the money and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I can't afford that. And I said, "Well, now you're dropping the price. It's almost 50%. So that's raising red flags to me." And then he stood up. We were at the table and he stood up. "Well, this is a great deal." And he started. I stood up. I'm like, "No, we're done." I said, you can get out of my house right now. Reported it. And it turned out, there were scammers in the area that were going around trying to get deposit money from people.
How
Same
scary.
thing even back then. So it's something you really got to be aware of and make your older, people in your family, relatives know that this is a thing.
Yeah. And if someone is coming door to door, that's fine because, there are some businesses that do that. But, get a business card and do some background checks of your own. Just do some calls around. Get your own references for them.
Absolutely. Call some numbers. Look up on the internet. Is that a legitimate phone number? Because you can't just trust the business card. What if it goes to a cell number of someone else involved in it, right? So try and look and do a bit of research first. We've got several animal stories for you today, including possums, bears, and gators.
And our first story, an Arkansas woman says she was leaving her house after she found several possums inside during the day.
Early this morning, my kids was getting ready for school. My daughter went to go brush her teeth, and it was hanging out on the tire rack. Just hanging out there. We kind of like trapped him in. My 13-year-old son put gloves on and grabbed him by the tail. Because it's been more than the last two we caught in the morning time, right before the kids go to school, in the bathroom. So it's just like, no, I gotta go.
Now, I like possums. They're fantastic. They eat ticks. They're usually not harmful or anything. Like they don't carry what's the thing? Rabies, that kind of stuff. But I don't want one in my house. That's not where you belong.
I think if you're getting multiple possums in the house, the first order of business would be, how are they getting in? Maybe plug the hole. Hey, a black bear wandered into a bakery's garage in Connecticut and ate 60 cupcakes before employees scared it away. So the workers were loading baked goods into a van when the bear came by for a little snack.
It's got a sweet tooth.
Yeah. It got its paws on cupcakes and, quote, a bunch of coconut cake, according to the bakery. An employee managed to scare the bear away by honking a car horn. And they said, now the bear knows where the goods are, one person said, too.
I say, got a taste of them. It's probably going to be back for more.
Coming for your cupcakes and your picnic baskets.
And finally, in our final animal story, a 23-year-old guy in Florida. Yep, this story is going where you think it might be. His name's Jordan, and he's in the news after he lost his arm to an alligator.
Wow, scary.
Like how all good stories, Florida man stories, start. He was outside of a bar in Port Charlotte, which is just south of Tampa. And apparently there is a pond out back of the bar, and that's where it all went down. He says he remembers falling down, because he came from the bar, and waking up in the hospital. And in that time that he doesn't remember, a 10-foot gator apparently got him. The people at the bar, though, jumped into action and saved his life.
And he's pretty chill about the whole thing.
I didn't lose my life, lost an arm. It's not the end of the world. They got my elbow, so I don't have an elbow, but I can still move my arm around and whatnot. I just saw a little lake, just trying to go over there and just, take a little pee and whatnot. Something happened where I either tripped or something, the ground below me kind of just went down, and I ended up in the water. And that's literally the last thing I remember. Confusion, I was like, whoa, because I woke up and I was just sitting here, and I looked over, and then I saw my arm the way it was, and I was like, ooh. It kind of just feels like my arm's just there, but not there.
So someone started a GoFundMe to help him cover his medical bills, and so that's online right now. The only thing that really seemed to bother him was a rumor that he was being dumb, and we went out back to feed the alligator. He said no, he was out there trying to use the bathroom. So he said that rumor's not true at all.
Use the bathroom or just didn't want to wait in line for the bathroom and decided to pee out back.
Sounds like that could have been some of the case. And if it was dark in an area where the ground drops, then you're walking off the edge of a small little cliff.
So
scary.
If we should learn anything from this story, it's don't drink in Florida near a pond that has alligators in it.
And pee inside.
And now it's time for
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's random.
Is that a fact?
Is that a fact?
4 random facts.
The evolution of the toy certainly has come a long, long way over the years. Certainly from when we were kids, what would be like the hottest toys? There was the Rubik's Cube, I guess.
Cabbage Patch Kids?
Cabbage Patch Kids was big, yeah.
Barbies, they're still big.
Masters of the Universe.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
Skeletor.
Oh, okay.
She-Ra, that kind of thing.
Yes, I had a She-Ra lunchbox.
I had like the Skeletor cave and the whole thing was big. It was
He-Man? He-Man? Was that part of that?
Yeah, He-Man, Skeletor,
Okay.
She-Ra, that kind of thing. Yeah, that was big when I was little. We're now aging ourselves.
Yes, we are.
By these toys that we grew up with. But the world's oldest toy, did you know, is the stick. It's actually considered a toy. Because I think it's in the Toy Hall of Fame, right?
I say, and it is still a great toy. I don't care how old you are. You pick up a stick, you're like, I'm going to hit this on a tree for some reason.
And for birthdays and Christmas time, you give your kids or your nieces and nephews just a stick. Here you go. It's the world's oldest toy.
Also might be my dog's favorite toy.
Right? It just keeps on giving. The stick, the world's oldest toy.
Speaking of toys, did you know that there are more Lego minifigures on Earth than there are people?
I did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of them are probably stuck under, your washing machine
or your
fridge. So yeah, don't step on one. That's a nightmare.
Did you know in your kitchen right now you might have a hallucinogen because nutmeg in your spice rack. Nutmeg is considered a hallucinogen. There's nothing to say on top of that.
I was just like, I wonder how much you would have to eat though to
to start get the effects. I feel like you have to eat a lot of nutmeg for that.
When you have a hard day at work, a long week, just head to your spice cabinet.
And finally, when you think of the Olympics, you think of the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat and, great physical prowess and achievements.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes, but did you know it wasn't always that way? Competitive art was actually an Olympic sport from 1912 to 1948.
Like when you have like an easel and paint?
I don't know. It's like you have 20 minutes. Give me your best Bob Ross.
Today's
1, 2,
4
So random.
Give the public the facts.
4 random facts.
James Barker Band in studio this morning. Thanks for coming in, guys. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having us. Bright and early on a Thursday. Is it Thursday?
It is Thursday today.
That's the most banned thing to say. What day is it?
Where am I right now?
Yeah.
So tonight, Chatham Capitol Theater. You've been in town for a couple of days, kind of getting things warmed up. So how did you come about to come into Chatham to kind of get things ready for your tour this summer?
It's funny. We were looking at kind of just different towns all over Ontario that we weren't, already playing. And I think this is our first time ever actually playing in Chatham, because we've always played either London or Windsor or whatever. And so actually our tour manager, Bill, was saying there's an awesome theater here that's really good. And we're like, well, let's go play it. And I mean, the response right out of the gate was awesome. Like it's crazy. You don't realize you have fans in a place you haven't played before. And so, and honestly, there could have been a better spot. It's been so great since we've been here. Our hotel's awesome. The venue's awesome.
Shout out Fuel for You food.
Oh, yeah. The catering has been amazing. Hawaiian pizza everywhere. It's been awesome.
I forgot about the catering. The catering is actually the best catering we've ever had.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm going to move to Chatham, maybe. I'm thinking about it. Buying a piece of land.
You heard it here first. Any real estate agents are going to start blowing up our phones now for you.
Yeah, hit me up.
So what do you guys do then when you are doing this kind of a show? It's almost like you're kind of warming up to get ready for your summer touring schedule.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's definitely, the game plan is for the show for it to feel like a normal show, but we like to spend a few days before and make sure everything's ironed out. You've got it all planned and switch around songs and add in moments and take away moments. And so just having a venue where you're not like in like a rehearsal space where you're setting up and tearing down and dealing with other bands playing metal in the next room and all of that stuff, it just makes it so much easier to kind of build the show. It feels like you're on stage. You're actually practicing doing the real thing.
So we just played Meet Your Mama. How do you feel like with regards to how that song came together and the reception to the song?
It was awesome. We've been sitting on that song for a while, 2 years. Mm-hmm. And we're like, oh, well, maybe we should release this song because it makes more sense for the time of year, blah, 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 with other songs. And then we all kind of came to the consensus that song just feels good every time we because we knew we were going to release it. We were like sitting on it. We're like, it's not the right time. We want to do it. And then we were like I said, came to the consensus that why are we sitting on good music? Like, why don't we release it? Everybody we show that to loves that song. It has like an emotional response. And we're like, that's what music should be. You should release your best stuff. Stop trying to strategize with it. We've done that before with like TikTok and like, oh, this one showed this and this one showed that. It's like, go with what feels good and what people like. Don't think about all the other, rubbish. And so we released it and rubbish. You like that? Rubbish, eh? And
word choice.
Thank you very much. It's my British heritage showing. And I'm not British. Anyway, but obviously the response has been awesome. And to get a number one was pretty crazy. For it to happen on Mother's Day, which I wish we could say was contrived at all. But when you're going for number one, it's just, you don't know. Like, there's no control over that. If it's going to go, it's going to go. If it's not, it's not. And so it was kind of just like a fate thing that all happened. Shout out to our moms.
Yeah.
So now you have a new song, which is perfect for the summer. Is it, On the Water?
On the Water.
And that's with a new guy, kind of up and coming on TikTok, right? Dalton Dover?
Dalton Dover is his name, which 6 months ago, none of us had heard of him. And it was funny. A couple months ago, our label messaged us and said, have you heard of this guy, Dalton Dover? And we knew we were already going to release On the Water. And they said, do you know it's Dalton Dover guy? And we're like, no. And we looked him up. And if you haven't had a chance to look him up on Instagram or TikTok, man, he can sing. He is like a singing son of a gun. He does this Alicia Keys cover, which is mind-blowing. And so we're like, well, that's pretty dang good. And then weirdly, like 2 days later, we bumped into him in Napa. And ended up just chilling and having a beer with them. We're like, let's do this. Why don't we do this? I mean, he's got a big following down in Georgia, and we're like, we've got this big following in Canada. Let's freaking, blend the audiences. So, and he he crushed it. He sounds so good on the song.
Is that something you're cognizant about? You mentioned, he's off of TikTok, and I've watched a few TikToks this morning. Somebody was really excited, one of you guys, to be Mater. I said, what car are you?
I saw that there was a thing going around. I was like, well, the funny thing is that getting that as the result, so either Connor or I had to do it, we would have got the same result probably.
So is that, like, how do you put that together then as a band? You just take turns posting stuff and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, we, generally speaking, it's funny because, like, you'll think you have a really good TikTok, you'll post it, you'll get, like, 20 views, and then, like, someone else will post something, and you're like, oh, I don't know, and it'll blow up. Like, it's like Connor's had, Bobby's TikTok famous, and now, in the last month, Connor has made a TikTok that has blown up bigger than any of our TikToks.
And not just on TikTok, on Instagram, too. And, I mean, I gotta say, in Canada, at least, you might have had the most viral video of the week or month. It's at, like, over 12 million.
So what is it? What
combined.
What'd you do on it? What happened?
There was just an Amazon product that was meant to dispense water, and I stuck the hose in a bottle of whiskey instead of water.
I saw
People were like,
that.
"Oh, genius!"
So it's like Mr. Deeds, but instead of the water fountain, he has like a little whiskey thing.
Yeah.
So are you getting any royalties for sales of these on Amazon?
No, I really messed up on this one.
legit should though.
No,
like,
but we were talking about
it's like, how many do you think they've sold since that happened?
Thousands.
Could you imagine like advertising, knowing that you've been seen by 12 million people? Like that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, we had our own little business meeting.
We did with
okay.
And we were going to post the link on my TikTok and then see how many sales we can get and split everything. But then we just didn't do it because we're dumb.
Put that in the parking lot for the band call.
Oh, man. All right. Well, let's spin the new single. We'll do that. We'll come back in a second. We'll talk a little bit more. James Barker Band featuring Dalton Dover. That is good stuff, guys. On the Water. Great song.
Thank you very much.
Really like it a lot. So where was that one recorded in Nashville then?
Yeah, that was the Nashville one. We all live in Nashville now, so everything we do is pretty much down there. So it's kind of the music. I mean, not kind of. It is the music hub, and so it's the best studios and best everything. So.
Now, when you put this one together, were you setting out to write sort of a summer on the water type feel song?
Yeah, I mean, this one, so we have a few songwriter buddies who kind of had this idea and then brought it to us, and we kind of changed it up musically a little bit. But I feel like people, including everyone we work with, knows us as being kind of the guys who do summertime songs. And so this was one of those ones that just made so much sense for us to like have as the next single. And we tried to do it in a little bit more, I don't want to say like progressive, but it's definitely like a little bit more like, what's the word? It's the musically, sonically, a little more progressive, I guess, than the other summer songs we've done, which is kind of what makes it unique, I guess.
So when it comes to summer songs, though, do you guys have a favorite one of yours? Go back to the start, Lunch You're Lazy, or... Is it hard to pick? It's like picking a favorite child.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and like we didn't realize this, but during the pandemic, so Summertime had come out, just basically at the beginning of the pandemic, because that was March. And we never really got to tour or like play Summertime too much, and obviously we had rehearsed and all that stuff through the pandemic, but getting back post-pandemic and playing shows and playing Summertime live, we like missed out on that ability to see people's reactions. So like Lawn Chair obviously is the kind of calling card, but Summertime is like for me the fun one to play because we're still capturing that energy that we missed.
Back.
And do you mean just our songs or songs in general?
Either or.
Either.
Because I gotta say, like, I think that like the best summer song for me is Barefoot Blue Jean Night. I feel like that's one that you hear at every campfire, anytime at the cottage. That's this all-time summer country
It's hard to beat that song. Yeah, for like summer songs, that's got to be it. For ours, I feel like Launch You're Lazy just because of the nostalgia. It's like it takes a place, takes the cake.
So Capitol Theater tonight, rehearsals I'm imagining have been going well. I mean, that's you mentioned, it is a great venue.
Yeah, it's an awesome venue. Everyone's been super nice there, and it's like a beautiful theater. The rehearsals have been going awesome. I mean, it's just nice to be like, we're the only ones in there except for like one venue, dude, and you can just like focus on. We did have to leave early last night, which was fine. We started early because they were playing
Tom Brady.
80 for Brady?
Yeah. On the street? They do a movie every Wednesday night.
Yeah, apparently. So they're like, when they booked us, or like when we booked the rehearsals, they're like, you can be there anytime except for 6 o'clock on Wednesday because we're showing 80 for Brady. And we're like, all right, okay.
Sorry, you're bumped for Jane Fonda.
Yeah, exactly. Which is okay.
Guys, thanks for coming in today. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to the show tonight, Chatham Capitol Theater.
I say we got to ask you too, though, because we were asking our listeners.
Oh, yes.
What is something you have to have on your rider?
when you guys go? When you go to a different venue and there's something you have to have in your dressing room. What is it? What are those things you guys ask for?
We've got, you go, Connor. It's you added it. Socks.
We need socks.
Socks. Like
you just didn't have time to go shopping and you wanted them to give you socks?
You would be surprised how many pairs of socks you go through on a tour.
Because you have the show socks because they get stinky after the show. Gym socks. So you don't. So like we just became
sock puppets.
And we never like growing up. We always had like 12 pairs of socks in your drawer, and you always lose them until Christmas, and your parents get you new socks. Now we have abundance of socks. As soon as you're done anything, like you could walk down the street, come back, and be like, oh, I got other socks, and just throw your socks out.
So is that how you knew you really made it, when the socks were in the dressing room?
When the socks are in the room, it's going to be a good day.
Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Chatham Capitol Theater tonight, James Barker Band.
You've been listening to Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.